Best product ever sold on QVC?
By me?
Well, you and either way, any way you want.
Well, I'm your guest. Screw those other guys. Let's keep it about me if we could. There was a moment of like just sublime intersectionality with absurdity and commerce. I was probably there 3 or 4 months. Oh, God, I could tell you about a collectible doll incident. That's too long. I'm going to say there was a thing called a Katsack. Okay. And I mention this because if there's anybody still listening and you want to Google it, you can actually see it. It's one of those things that people posted on YouTube years after the fact that left me no choice but to admit that it happened. Even though I didn't remember it happening, it happened. And a Katsack is basically a grocery bag lined with Mylar. And what you do, Doug, is you take the Katsack and you put it on your floor, and then you invite your cat to crawl into the sack. And when your cat crawls into the Katsack, it starts to crinkle, and it makes a crinkling sound.
The sack.
The sack begins to crinkle. And the crinkling sound, according to studies, right, so fills the feline with unbridled joy that it doesn't know what to do except spin around, causing more crinkling. So when your cat goes into the Katsack and begins to twirl and spin and roll about, you've brought a level of enlightenment and self-actualization to your cat that you're just never, ever going to be able to do with any other kind of cat.
It sounds like
toy.
a never-ending cycle of excitement, like more crinkling, more spinning. How do you get the cat out of the Katsack?
Unclear. It's unclear. I suspect you could pick the whole thing up and walk off with your cat, or you could just leave the room and leave the cat and its sack to pursue a life of religious fulfillment. Or I don't really know how it ends. And look, all these questions were posed by me during the sale of this thing.
You had 8 minutes. How many minutes did you have for the Katsack?
Well, interminable. I mean, time stops. There's no
another time warp.
It's like the time-space continuum completely collapses on itself, and you're just left.
Do you
there.
get data on how many sell? Are you getting real-time
data?
Yeah, so you can see, like as you're doing it, you can see whether it's working.
I had 2 IFBs, right? That's it. IFB it's just the earpiece. It stands for interruptible foldback, right? And if you have one in your right ear, that's the thing you can take a live phone call on. All right, that allows you to talk to the viewer. The one in your left ear, the producer or the director can just torment you with all sorts of information you don't want to hear about. They can just mess with you, which we did remorselessly with one another. But that's the one that they'll tell you the phones are really exploding in the Northeast. Right, so whatever you're doing is like really working in New England. The South isn't buying any of this. And the next thing you know, you're talking like Foghorn Leghorn because you're trying to do whatever you can to appeal to the most folks, you see. So it was ridiculous. We were constantly on the head of a pin, constantly trying to figure out.
That's amazing. I didn't realize it was that engineered.
Imagine talking to a viewer in one ear, listening to a producer who you hate, with the white hot intensity of 1,000 suns telling you what to do and not do in the other ear.
Is the hate reciprocated? Producer also hates you?
It was good-natured hate. You know, I mean, we were all pretty liquored up at that point. I mean, it was the middle of the night. But in the middle of it, there you are alone on a set with a Katsack, trying to make sense of the world as you understand it, trying to sell a garbage bag lined with Mylar. You know, for 2 easy payments of $14.99.
That's amazing. How hokey. I'm going to see if the Katsack is. I am going to YouTube all of this, by the way. There's like 9 things I need to YouTube after this.